look at. And that's what the one we're going to focus in on. How you see a loving world instead of a crazy, insane world. How are you in a loving world? This is Earl Purdy, A Course in Miracles. Stick around. We're going to start out with a little music from the Course in Miracles. One of the Course in Miracles workbook lessons, which is one of my favorite ones, which is one we really need to be paying attention to right now, called I'm Not a Victim of the World I See. Here we go. I am not a victim of the world I see. Come on, and you. Where are you? Where are you? There we go. I love it. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. I'm not a victim of my mom. I'm not a victim of my pa. I'm not a victim of even circumstance at all. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now, what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. We're going to go deep and deep. And how do you have a loving, peaceful world? How do you experience a world that's only unconditional love and truth and is beyond the fears and the tears that we experience in this world? We're going to talk about it today. Yes. I'm not a victim of the North. I'm not a victim of the South. Not a victim of anything except what comes out my mouth. I'm not a victim. Page 255. Page 255 in the Course in Miracles text is what I've done to me. Chapter 13, section 7. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. You don't forget that we're going to be on page 255 in the Course in Miracles text, the attainment of the real world. Section 7, the attainment of the real world. We start with paragraph 7. Section 7, paragraph 7. In A Course in Miracles, the attainment of the real world. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. There we go. There we go. Let's see here. Well, welcome to Course in Miracles. I'm Earl Purdy here on Facebook Live. I want to welcome all my mighty companions that are online and also happen to be right in front of my face. And we're going to continue with the attainment of the real world, which of course calls the loving world. The Course in Miracles says this ain't the real world, that the world we're in is not the real world. The real world is not a world that it has buildings and houses and people walking separate and alone. The Course in Miracles says that the real world is beyond anything that begins and ends, and sometimes you can have it and sometimes you can't have it. Sometimes you're feeling good, sometimes you're feeling bad, sometimes you're feeling connected, sometimes you're not. The Course in Miracles says the world of separation is not the real world, that there's another world beside the one that we're looking at, and you don't have to die to go there. You don't have to die to perceive the real world. You don't have to die to be in a loving world. But how do you do it? How do you get there? Well, first of all, we have to remember that you need not believe the ideas that you're about to hear. You need not accept the ideas that you're about to hear. It's very important. You need not welcome the ideas that you're about to hear. And some of the ideas that you are about to hear are hard and maybe hard to believe. And some of the ideas that you hear might be startling. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. And I've said often that I shared this at the beginning of every one of my classes, so I know exactly how a flight attendant feels when they're giving you the safety rules and everybody's reading the magazines and not really paying attention because you've heard it before. But I'm telling you, if you really want to get what the Course in Miracles is saying, you have to learn how to study the Course in Miracles or hear the Course in Miracles the way the Course in Miracles says that we need to do the Course in Miracles. Not the way that we may have learned, but the way that the Course in Miracles is saying you learn it. And one of the ways it says that you learn it is to recognize you may resist some of the ideas. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas may startle you. Like, for instance, to be told that the real world is not like the world you see. The Course says the real world doesn't have any buildings. The real world doesn't have any streets where people walk alone and separate with mask on or mask off. It's not a world where people buy a bunch of stuff that they don't really even need or don't even really want. The Course in Miracles says in the real world there are no street lights. In the real world there's no night. In the real world there's just love. Love that shines and shines and shines forever. Light that shines and shines forever. Peace that shines and shines forever. There's no fear. There's total safety. There is no death in the real world. Now, the Course in Miracles says that in order to experience that world, there's some certain things that we need to remember. I didn't say certain things that we needed to understand. I said that there are certain things we need to remember. I'm the divine remembering teacher. I am the divine repetition teacher. I am the truth repetition teacher. Because all we have to do is remember this the next time we're feeling afraid, or next time you're feeling separate, or the next time you're feeling alone, or the next time you're scared about something. You need to remember what I'm about to share with you. Now, as a Course in Miracles teacher that's been doing it 40 years, I'm about to cover a paragraph that's going to be extremely difficult. It may be extremely difficult for you to stay conscious on. I'm about to tell you something that may be extremely difficult for you to stay awake on, to stay conscious on. Did you hear what I said? Yes. I'm about to say something that you're going to be tempted to not listen to what I'm saying. And do you know why? Because it's so loving. I'm about to say something that's so loving and so much a reflection of your real self that it might be difficult for you to let yourself hear what I'm about to say. And I understand that. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to use this as an opportunity for you to meditate and to let what I'm about to say in. So I want you to take everything that you're normally concerned about, whatever you are giving yourself any kind of worry about, any kind of anxiety about, and I want to ask you to do what? I want to ask you to set it aside for a minute. I promise you, it'll still be there later if it's not something you've dealt with. So it's not about right now thinking about the things you're upset about or fearful about. I want you to just let this truth come in. I want you to let this truth come in. Because I'm going to tell you what God's will is for you. I'm going to tell you what your Creator wants for you. This is what your Creator wills for you. This is what your Creator wills for you. This is what love wants you to have. This is what love wants you to have. So I want you to let this in. I want to ask you to take a deep breath right now. Close your eyes, unless you're driving. If it's safe, close your eyes. So I want you to hear what your Creator wants for you. This is what God wants for you. This is God's will for you. Love's will for you. The Course says God's will, it is God's will that nothing touch you except God. That means it's God's will that nothing touches you but love. It's your Creator's will that nothing touches you but love. It is the will of love that nothing touches you but love. The only thing that should ever be touching you is love. If you're not being touched by love, you need to stop whoever's touching you on whatever level they're touching you on. Whether they're touching you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or physically. No one should be touching you who you are afraid of. Nothing should be touching you that you are afraid of. Nothing should be happening that you feel guilty about. Nothing should be happening that you feel fear about. God's will, which is the same as love's will, is that nothing touch you except Himself. And the Course says God is love. So love's will is that nothing touch you, the will of love, the child of love, except love, and that nothing else comes nigh unto you. So there's two things. What are the two things? It's God's will that nothing touches you but love. It's love's will that nothing touches you but love. And it's love's will that nothing comes close to you but love. So I want to make this practical. And that's why I say it. If there's anybody in your life that you are allowing to touch you on any level that you don't feel love with, that you don't feel safe with, that you don't feel peaceful with, you need to stop. Because you are not being touched by love. You are not experiencing God's will. You're not experiencing God's will. If you are in a situation where anything other than love and peace and joy and freedom and abundance is what's happening to you. The Course in Miracles says you shouldn't even want anybody to come close to you unless it's love and unless that's a loving being or a loving presence. Now, what I've noticed in trying to be more and more loving over the past 40 years is that when you're in a world where most people are afraid and separate, and you try to be a loving being, that fearful beings actually are repelled by you. They don't trust you. They feel fear of you. So they pull back from you when you are extremely loving. I try to be as loving as I can be. And in my life, since I've been into the Course and doing this stuff, I've watched people be more suspicious of me when I've tried to be much more loving than I've ever been before, than I ever saw people being suspicious of me when I was much more in my ego and my fear and my selfishness. It's really funny because people kind of expect people to not be completely loving, but they don't expect someone to be loving. So when you're loving, you really raise the suspicions of a fearful person. Now, unless you're crazy, then you let that person go. If they're being repelled by love, you don't chase after them because that's a person who can't give you love. So why would you chase after a person that can't give you love and doesn't want to give you love? Only if you think you don't deserve it. Only when you think you don't deserve love do you chase someone or some situation that's not loving. I'm about remembering the Course and the practical application of the Course. I could care less about talking about the theoretical issues of the Course. I want this to be practical. So the Course says if you want to attain the real world, you have to understand what God's will is. And God's will is that nothing touch you except love, and nothing comes close to you except love. So as a child of God, the Course says you are as safe from pain as God Himself. So your Creator wants you to be completely safe from pain. Let that in. Love doesn't bring pain. Love doesn't bring pain. Love doesn't bring pain. If you're in a painful relationship, that's a relationship where love is not being expressed right now. And the Course says God doesn't want you to feel any pain. And the Course says God is who watches over you in everything. So love your Creator. Where does it watch over you? It watches over you in everything. Your Creator watches over you in not some things. It said everything. Your Creator watches over you in everything. So let's say you're going through a situation right now that it looks like you're not being watched over and you're afraid and you don't know what's going to happen next. I'll tell you what's happening. Would you like to know what's going on?
Yes.
It means you are still trying to handle the situation yourself. It means you are not applying the principles that the Course in Miracles is teaching to yourself right now. You may think you are, you may want to, but you're not. Because if you are really applying the truth, it always works. It always works. Now, do you want peace? Yes. Do I want to feel safe? Yes. How do I do that? Well, first I have to make an undivided decision that the only thing I want for me is love, and the only thing my Creator wants for me is love. I can't be messing around with that idea. I want love. My Creator wants love. My Creator doesn't want me to go through pain. Love is not something that gives pain. So if I'm in any kind of painful relationship with anything in any way, I know I'm not experiencing God's will right now. I'm not experiencing love right now. And no matter what you're going through right now, God is watching over you. Love is watching over you. So the Course says that once you realize who you really are, when you really realize that you are only a loving being, an innocent being, an unlimited being, when you realize you are a spiritual being, when you realize you are a spiritual being, when you realize you are a child of love, a child of God. The Course in Miracles says, when you recognize that, then the world around you is going to shine with love. So when you've accepted that you are innocent, when you have accepted that you are love, when you have accepted that you are spirit, when you have accepted that you are more than just a body, then you will see the world around you shining with love and freedom and abundance and joy. All right, if that's true, what does that mean? It means if I don't see the world around me shining on me with love, if I see a lot of anger, guilt, and attack and fear around me, it means what? It means that I have not accepted myself as God created me. So if you're struggling, no matter what you're saying, you have not accepted yourself as God created you. You have not accepted yourself as totally innocent yet. I'm going to say this. If not, you're going to keep doing the same thing that everybody else in the world is doing all the time, trying to resolve situations and make themselves happy. What is that? They are looking for the thing outside of themselves that they think they can fix, alter, script, or change that's going to make them happy. So unless you're listening to what I'm saying, you're going to do exactly what you've always done. You're going to come up with ideas on your own that you think is going to solve your problems, and you're going to try to solve them on your own, not forgetting that you're innocent, forgetting that you're loved, because you're doing it out of fear. And if you're doing something out of fear, the Course in Miracles says that means you are trusting in your own strength. You're not trusting in your Creator's strength. So don't be expecting to see the fruits of your Creator if you are still trying to do it by yourself. I can't lift the package up and put it up in the closet for you until you let me put it up in the closet for you, because you can't reach it. But as long as you keep trying to reach it on your own and you know you can't reach it, and I'm standing right next to you and I'm willing to take it out your hands and put it right there up on the shelf, but you won't let me, then don't blame me and say I'm not the one that's helping you. I'm not helping you because you won't let me help you, because you're still trying to handle things on your own. Now, how do you know you're still trying to handle things on your own? Because you're still afraid. You still have some anxiety. You still have some worry. And so if you have any worry, it means that you are in a hurry to do it yourself. Do it yourself. You keep on trying to do it yourself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. You keep trying to do it yourself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. You keep trying to do it yourself. Stop. In the name of love. Stop. In the name of love. Stop. Ow! In the name of love, I say stop. In the name of love. Now, when you come to A Course in Miracles with Earl Purdy, you will not have an opportunity, if I can help it, to be in denial about what's going on. What do you mean, Earl? Well, if I really accepted that I am as God created me, which is I'm innocent and I'm loving, the way that I'll know it is that I don't see nothing but love touching me or coming close to me. I'll feel like I'm safe from pain. I'll feel like God is watching over me and everything. I'll walk down the street and I'll think that the world around me is shining with love. That's how I know that I'm listening to God from above. Is I think my world is full of love if I'm listening to the God from above, from within. So the Course in Miracles says, now why will the world be shining with love? Why will the world be shining with love? Well, listen carefully. Because God will place you in God. So how do I know that I'm beginning to recognize that I am love? It's because I feel like I'm inside of it. I won't just feel like love is inside of me. I feel like I'm inside of love. Now, what happens when you're inside of love? He said, well, that's where pain isn't. He says where pain is not. So what is another term, another definition of God from A Course in Miracles perspective? Where pain isn't. I'm going to pray to where pain is not. I'm going to ask where pain is not to guide me. I'm going to recognize when I love myself and I see my innocence, I'm going to see the world shining with love around me because God is going to place me inside of God. Love is going to place me inside of love, and that's where pain isn't. So if I'm feeling pain, does that mean that I'm not experiencing and seeing myself as being inside love, inside God? Yes, that is exactly what's happening. You're in pain because you don't recognize you're inside love yet. But it doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you bad. It's not sinful. It's nothing to feel guilty about. It's nothing to beat yourself up about. We're just trying to get out of denial and tell the truth so we can be healed. So I don't mind saying that there are many times a day where I forget that I'm inside of love, that love is inside of me, that only love is supposed to be close to me, and that only love is what I'm supposed to experience. I will tell all of you all, I do not feel that way 100% of the time all day. Do you? No. If you be honest with yourself, you'd say no, because you wouldn't be watching this if you were doing that. You wouldn't even be hearing this. But there's no reason to beat yourself up. There's no reason to beat yourself up. There's no reason to beat yourself up. So don't judge yourself. You're just getting out of denial, and it's only what you're in denial about that hurts you. It's what you are not willing to be aware of that hurts you. It's not what you are aware of that hurts you. It's what you're not willing to be aware of that hurts you. God placed you inside himself where pain is not. And love surrounds you without end or flaw. What? But I want love to surround you without end or flaw. What do you want for yourself? I want love to surround me without end or flaw. Say what? I want love to surround you without end or flaw. What you say? I want love to surround you without end or flaw. Say it for yourself. I want love to surround me without end or flaw. I want love to surround me without end or flaw. I want love to surround me without end or flaw. I want love to surround me without end or flaw. Check this out. I let love surround me without end or flaw. Wanna let it? I let love surround me without end. And then what did he say next? Disturbance of your peace can never be. 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 Disturbance of my peace can never be. Disturbance of my peace can never be. See, it's repetition, remembering, repetition, remembering. So, what is God's will for you? That disturbance of your peace can never be. What's God's will for you? It's that disturbance of your peace can never be. That's love's will for you. So someone that loves you is not disturbing your peace. Where there is love, there is not a disturbance of peace. You want a holy relationship? That's a relationship where there's not a constant disturbance of your peace. If you're in a relationship that's a constant disturbance of your peace, broken in two where it looks like it's not happening, you're in a special relationship. You're in a special relationship. The Course calls those special relationships. Relationships where 1 minute there's peace, next minute there's conflict, then there's conflict, then there's peace, 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 then there's conflict, then there's peace, then there's peace, then there's conflict, peace. Anybody familiar with that? Okay, that's what the Course in Miracles calls a special relationship, an unholy relationship. Unholy in the sense that it's fear-based. It's only unholy because it's fear-based. So the Course in Miracles says you have to decide that the universe only wants you to have peace and doesn't want any disturbance of your peace. You now know that when you are experiencing love with somebody, you will know it because there won't be a lot of pain in that relationship. You also know if you're experiencing love in a relationship, you feel like love is shining on you. Also, if you're in a really loving relationship, you'll feel like you're actually safe. Like the relationship is actually where you feel safe. And if you're in a loving relationship, you want that person to touch you because you want to constantly be touched by love. And you only want love to be close to you because that's God's will for you. That's love's will for you. If you find yourself not meeting any of those conditions that I just mentioned, what does that mean? It means you don't recognize what the problem is, so it can be solved. What is the problem? You think you're separate from God. You think you're separate from love. You think you're separate. The Course in Miracles says, I know you think it's the external situation in the world that's making you unhappy or causing you a problem. That's just the smoke screen to distract you from what's really causing that lack, or what's really causing that fear, or what's really causing that pain. What's really causing that pain is you are not allowing the will of God to be done in your life. It is not God's will that you sacrifice. It is not God's will that you suffer. It is not God's will that you suffer. It is not God's will. It's not God that leads you through a world of misery and then tells you at the end why God did that to you and how that served your own best interest. The truth is you choose a painful path for yourself. Spirit loves you so much that it'll even guide you and help you get out of the painful choices that you've made. But it wasn't Spirit that put you in that painful situation to begin with. You put your own self in that painful situation to begin with, and it can be used for some type of a soul lesson for you. It can become a lesson that you learn that brings you joy, but you didn't have to go through. I don't have to burn my hand on a hot stove to know not to burn my hand on a hot stove. I don't have to go through an experience of pain so I can learn I don't need to go through that experience. You can learn by using other people's experiences, or you could learn by simply just doing what you're being told to do, right when you're being told to do it. So what makes the Course in Miracles easier than most teachings? I'll tell you what makes the Course in Miracles easier than most teachings. Because the Course in Miracles is only talking about our perception. It teaches us through giving us new meanings and new interpretations of how to look at everything that's happening in our lives. Do you know, I'll say it again. The Course in Miracles gives us new interpretations of everything that's happening in our life. And through those new interpretations of what's happening, you will feel peace. And when you feel peace, because you're looking at things in a way that doesn't upset you, you have to learn how to look at things in a way that they don't upset you. You don't just naturally look at things in such a way that they don't upset you if you get upset. So you got to learn how to look at everything that's going on in this world right now in a way that you don't let it upset you. Your goal should be to learn how to look at the world in such a way that it never upsets you, that you see the truth of what's going on, that you always feel peace. And the Course in Miracles gives you those interpretations. It gives you the way to look at things that will free you from pain. You don't have to figure out how to look at it. It tells you how to look at it. For instance, what I just have done since we've been talking. Suppose you let yourself really hear that, and it said to you that it's God's will that nothing touch you but love, yet you're in a relationship where you're being criticized, judged, and condemned. Well, you would know that that would not be something that you deserved, and you simply wouldn't put up with it. And since you're not putting up with it, it wouldn't be around you. And since that painful attack and judgment isn't around you, then you are not letting anything but love touch you. And you will be happy. And you will be happier. But here's the most important point that I'm making. And I want you to hear this again. You didn't create yourself. You didn't create yourself, so you can't get yourself out of this. You can't get yourself out of the pain and upset and lack that you're trying to get yourself out of. You cannot get yourself out of the pain and upset and lack and anxiety and fear. Whatever the problem is you think you have that you've been trying to solve, and the Course in Miracles says the problem isn't solved unless it never comes back. Do you know the Course in Miracles says any problem that comes back over and over again, it's a problem that's never been solved? How do we know we haven't solved the problem of having the flu? Because the flu keeps coming back around over and over again. How do you know you haven't solved the challenge that you're having with that person? You keep having them come around over and over and over again, even when you say you don't want them to be around. You haven't solved the problem. If it returns in any form, it means you didn't really solve the problem. You can't go from I'm broke to I got some money, or I got prosperity, back to I'm broke to I now have some abundance. That means that you don't really know what the true answer is to how to have prosperity and abundance. It says you don't know what real abundance is if you go up and down financially. You don't know what a real relationship is if you keep on going up and down in relationships and you keep going through the same things over and over again, but just with different people. It means you've never solved the problem of how to have loving relationships. If a problem has really been solved, it never returns. It never comes back. It never happens again, according to the Course in Miracles. So how can you tell if you really solved any of your problems? If you're saying any problem that you have is a problem you had before, then you've never, ever been in touch with the real answer to that problem. And the real answer to that problem is God. The real answer to that problem is your relationship to your Creator. The real answer to that problem is getting in touch with your true self, your true spiritual identity. I'm going to say it again. You're just going to keep going through the same things over and over again as long as you think the answer to your problems are the answers you make up and that you try to manipulate the outer world in order for you to solve that problem. Then you do not know how your problems are totally resolved. I'm feeling the temptations. So can you say this? God's will for me is perfect happiness. 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 Now I'm going to say it for you, and you, and you, and you. I want you to hear this. I want you to let yourself hear this. God's will for you is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. God's will for you is, say, God's will for me is, God's will for me is, God's will for us is, God's will for us is, say what? God's will for them is perfect happiness. God's will for them is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. God's will for you is... Now, listen to me. You don't have to remember and accept this or welcome it. It's the truth. If something is the truth, it is the truth. Whether you believe it or not, whether you believe it or not. If something is the truth, it is the truth. Whether you believe it or not, whether you believe it or not. So I'm going to tell you something. I don't care whether you believe it or not. Doesn't matter to me whether you believe it or not, because it's true. And what is true? God wants to exchange your mistakes for the peace of God, for the peace of love. So, your Creator wants to exchange all of your problems right now, wants to exchange all your mistakes for the peace of God. The Course in Miracles says that's what your will is. If you want to know what you want, the Course in Miracles says, I'll tell you what you really want. What you really want is you want to exchange all your fears, all your mistakes, every lack, every sickness, every conflict. You want to exchange that for God's will, for love. You want to exchange everything that upsets you for peace, for joy. So I want you to imagine that you went back to the store, that you bought something and you want to exchange it. And you take it back and you exchange it for what you really want. Do you know that that's what the Course in Miracles is saying? It's saying what you want is to have all of your mistakes, all of your errors, anything that frightens you. You want to have that exchange for love, for joy, for peace. Is that right?
Yes.
Do y'all see why I said this would be a more difficult section?
Yes.
Right? Do you know what makes these sections difficult? Anytime this book tells us that we need to depend on a higher power. As long as books are telling us what we can handle by ourselves on our own, then we're pretty comfortable with that. But the minute something says it's your will, that you want your Creator to exchange your mistakes for love, that you actually, the reason why you have anxiety right now is because you're still trying to handle everything on your own, right? But if I don't have no faith, if I don't have faith in a higher power, if I don't feel like I have a connection to a higher power, then when you say, give it to God, that doesn't make me feel more relaxed. It doesn't make me, that's how you know you don't really believe in a higher power. Come on now. The Course in Miracles has taught me to get real. It wasn't until I admitted I didn't believe in God and I was just giving that idea lip service that the Course in Miracles was able to get rid of the blocks to my knowing my relationship to God better than ever before. But that didn't happen as long as I was pretending that I had all this faith in a higher power, but I'm scared about this and that and worried about all the stuff that we've been told and worried about all the time. It's like the truth is, if you are in fear, that is showing you don't have faith. But it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean I'm judging you. It doesn't mean I'm criticizing you. It just means I'm telling the truth. You don't have faith. So your job, your task is to allow yourself to be taught how to let go of every block to the awareness of God and truth and love that you already have, but it's blocked. It's blocked by your beliefs. Your beliefs are blocking your awareness that you are connected to God and you know you are. And there's a part of you that absolutely knows you are connected to love, that absolutely knows you're connected to your source, but that part of you is covered up by the thoughts that you are thinking all day about everything. So what is Christ? The Course in Miracles says Christ is the one self we all share. The Christ is your real self. The Christ is your loving self. The Christ is your true self. The Christ in you is the you that knows nothing should be touching you but love. It's the part of you that knows you don't deserve any kind of pain. It's the part of you that knows every error you may think you make can be exchanged for the peace of God. It's the part of you that knows you deserve freedom and knows you deserve abundance and knows that you are eternal and eternally loved. That is your true self. That is your real self. And how do you know when you're not in touch with your real self? You hate yourself. You don't like yourself. You criticize yourself. You judge yourself. You feel fear. You feel conflict. That part of you that feels any of those things, that's not you. That you that's upset, that you that's weary, that ain't you. That's not you. That's an idea of yourself that you made up. That fear for you, that scared you, that guilt to you, that you that thinks that you're not enough sometimes and thinks that you can't be happy and provided for and safe and painless, that you, that ain't you. That's an idea you made up about yourself. It's an image of yourself. It's a concept of yourself. That's what your ego is. It's the idea of yourself that you made up, that you are believing is you, and then you're acting according to those false ideas you're telling yourself. Nobody can love me. I'm not lovable. So anybody that's lovable and loving to you, you don't even notice them. You don't even notice them. You believe you're not lovable, so everybody that's lovable, either you don't notice them or you run them off. Because I am only going to act according to what I think I am. So every problem that you have is an identity problem. Every problem you have is an identity problem. Your financial problem is an identity problem. You don't know who you are. You've forgotten that you're the holy child of God. You've forgotten that you're an unlimited spiritual being. You think you're a man or a woman in the world trying to make it as best you can, depending on economic conditions and how much you stay inside or outside or whatever you do. The ego, the wrong voice, is going to always tell you the answer is outside of you, the answer is outside of you, the answer is outside of you. If this were different, you would be saved. If this were different, you'd be happy. If this were different, you'd be happy. If this were different, you'd be happy. If they were different, you'd be happy. If they were different, you'd be happy. If they were different, you'd be happy. The Course in Miracles says it is always the voice of your ego, always the voice of the wrong advice that's ever telling you that the answer to your happiness is if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some external event or circumstance were changed, then you would be happy. That's the biggest lie that your ego ever tells you, but it is the one most people believe the most. You talk to almost anybody, and they're going to tell you they're going to be happy as soon as they get this, or when they get that, and when that person changes this way, or when that situation changes that way, or when I move to the next place, or when I have this new circumstance, then I'm going to be happy. That is the ego's biggest lie. That is the most incorrect thing you ever tell yourself. So how can you tell when you're in touch with your true self? How can you tell when you're in touch with the part of you that's really real, that's really love, that you can really trust? How can you tell when you listen to the voice in you that you can really trust? That voice is going to be offering you the will of God. That voice is going to be saying, you don't deserve anything but love to come near you. You don't deserve anything but love to touch you. You don't deserve to have any kind of pain, any kind of suffering, and no kind of sacrifice. I don't care what mistakes you make. Those mistakes are going to be corrected in exchange for the kind of love you really want. The voice of your true self is going to say, you're innocent. What you're doing is a call for love. You're never alone. That you're never upset for the reason you think. That you're entitled to miracles. That you are spirit. That you bless the world because you bless yourself. The real you is going to only be saying loving things to you.
Yes.
Your real you is going to offer you the will of God. Your true self is going to say to you, I know you deserve love and nothing but love. You deserve happiness and nothing but happiness. You deserve peace and nothing but peace. You deserve loving people, but nothing but loving people. Your real self is going to say, you deserve abundance. I'm going to tell you what your real self would say. Abundance is your natural state. 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 That's what your real self, your true self, your Christ self, it would never say to you, you are sinful, you are guilty, you are bad, you're not enough. Your real self will never tell you you could never be loved. So I'm going to go back over a little of this. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Facebook Live with my Course in Miracles class. I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. This upcoming week, I will have completed 40 years of studying and teaching the course. Yeah, right into the course, November 7th, 1980. And up until the pandemic hit in March, I had never not been teaching A Course in Miracles since then, in all those years. Because it would be stupid for me not to be given what I want to receive and what I don't want to forget, especially in a world where nobody's talking it. Think about what I'm saying. In this world, you won't hear stuff like this unless you're proactive about it. You're going to have to make sure you're around the people that reflect love back to you, or reading and studying books that tell you it's God's will that nothing touch you but love. You can't leave that to chance. You can't just hope you're going to hear positive things about yourself and loving things about yourself. The people you allow to be in your inner circle need to be people who want to see God's will for you manifest. So I want to thank you. I do these classes on a love offering or donation basis. And so if you'd like to share with me in this ministry, this teaching ministry, just go to www.earlpurdy.com. Earl Purdy, Purdy.com. If you want to use one of the cash apps, Venmo, or the like, my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your generosity and support. Because all that we give is given to ourselves. On Thursdays at 7 p.m., I do hardcore Course in Miracles at Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. On Thursday night, I do hardcore Course in Miracles, hardcore Course in Miracles, especially geared towards students of the Course in Miracles who know they want to study the Course in Miracles and who also want to take advantage of the fact that I've been teaching and learning it for 40 years. So it's a possibility I could save you some time. I don't know, I might be going out on the limb, but I might be able to let you know when your ego is just about to kick your butt, but you don't even realize it. Because what makes the ego effective is you don't know what it's doing to you when it's doing it to you. That's what makes the ego, that part of you that hurts you. It hurts you because you don't know what's going on. You don't know how it's operating. So these Course in Miracles classes will get you past your inner pain. So that's Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook Live. And follow and like the page. Please share these videos. Now, if you really want to go deep, have a clarity session with me. And let me work with you through the things that you're working on and show you how to apply the Course in Miracles to those situations. And if you're open to it, and you really want to save time, even more time, allow me to use my 40 years plus skills as an astrologer and numerologist also, which is just another way for Spirit to communicate with us. The Course in Miracles says that Spirit is going to communicate to you through everything, anything, if you really want to be communicated with. So go to my website. You can book a session with me right on my website. It's called the Clarity Session. Your problem is not original. Your problem is not original. Your problem is not original. It's not a problem that somebody else hasn't had before. Because all problems are the same. And to me, that's what's so awesome to realize. That you're so caught up in your problem that you might not see it the way I would see it, because I'm not caught up in it the way you are caught up in it. So I can look at it from an angle that would never occur to you. Just like God is communicating with us right now from an angle that never occurred to us sometimes. So this is it. All right, now since this is part of the repetition, I want you to close your eyes again. I want y'all to hear something. This is symbolic of your willingness to heal. And it's okay, however you allow yourself to experience what I'm doing. Even if you want to pass out, that's okay. Do you know that it is God's will that nothing touch you except love? That nothing touch you except love. It is love. Don't let anything or anybody touch you except love. Don't let anything or anybody into your life except love. Freedom. That's God's will for you. That nothing but love touch you. Please, do you know you need to let yourself hear that? Your Creator only wants love to touch you. Your Creator only wants love, real love, to come close to you. Don't you want that too? Why do you want real love? Because in real love, you will be safe from pain. In real love, you will be as safe from pain as your Creator wants you to be. Tell yourself, God watches over me. God watches over me in everything. 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 God watches over you in everything, even that thing that you're dealing with right now. Do you know the thing that you're dealing with right now? Do you know whatever that situation, circumstance, relationship, or person that you're dealing with right now, your Creator is watching over you. Your Creator is watching over you. Your Creator is watching over you. Love. Love is watching over you. Love is watching over you. God is watching over you. Do you know what's good about me telling you that? You don't have to believe that idea. You don't have to accept that idea. You don't have to welcome that idea. You might resist that God is watching over you, that love, your Creator, is watching over you. But do you know what's cool about it being the truth? If it's the truth, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. You can believe anything you want to believe and you can still be loved. You can believe I don't love you all night long. That doesn't mean I don't love you. You can tell me I'm lying to you all day long. It doesn't mean I'm lying to you. So you have God's protection at all times. Why don't you know it? Because you're still trying to handle everything yourself. 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 That's why you don't see it looking like those situations and circumstances are corrected in your life. You are still trying to handle it yourself. So how do you know? How can you tell if you're still trying to handle it yourself? If you're trying to handle everything, every problem yourself and not surrender it to your higher power, how do you know you're doing that? How do you know you haven't surrendered it? How do you know you haven't surrendered? This is the way you know. This is the way you know. You feel fear. You feel contracted. You feel anxiety. You feel weary. You feel anger. You feel lack. You feel alone on the way home. So when you feel that way, go, I think I'm trying to handle this all by myself. I must be trying to handle this problem all by myself. How do I know I'm trying to handle it by myself? Because I feel afraid, because I feel worried, because I feel anxiety and despair. I feel confused. I feel miserable. That's how I can tell that I'm handling it by myself. But if I'm feeling joy, if I'm feeling peace, if you're feeling safe, if you're feeling light, that means that you are not trying to handle it by yourself. Wherever you're feeling light and joy and peace, wherever you're feeling abundance and happiness and healing and health, whatever parts of your life that you're feeling yourself loved and appreciated in? Do you know that is the part of your life that you are allowing your Creator to join wheels with you. Everywhere you're happy, you're doing it with God. Anywhere you're happy, you're doing it with God. Anywhere you're happy, you're doing it with God. Anywhere you have peace, you are doing it with God. If you want to know those areas of your life that you are allowing yourself to be assisted, if you want to know what areas of your life, whether you realize it or not, you're letting God in, it's the areas of your life that you love. It's the areas of your life that you are happy in. How do I know when I'm in the presence of someone that I love? I want to touch them. I want to be touched at a spiritual level, a mental level, an emotional level, sometimes at a physical level. When you're in the presence of someone that love is sent to you, that God is sent to you, you feel safe with that person, first and foremost. You feel safe with that person. You're not feeling a lot of pain with that person. And when you're with them, you feel like love is surrounding you. Happiness is surrounding you without any end of flaw. How can you tell when you are accepting the will of God and you are into your real self, your true self? Disturbance of your peace can never be. Disturbance of your peace can never be. When you are experiencing God's will for you, nothing can disturb your peace. Nothing can disturb your peace. Nothing can disturb your peace. I said nothing can disturb your peace when you are in tune with the will of God. And you look around, when you are sane, when you have perfect sanity, how do you look at the world? You look on love. When you become sane, you see love all around you. You see love inside of you. When you are sane, you deny the world of pain. When you are sane, you deny the world of pain. You will deny the pain the instant that you see the arms of love around you. So if you are hurting and you feel the arms of love around you, the pain goes away that very, very day. When you feel the love, real love, that's how you can tell real love from fake love. If it's real love, you don't feel pain when you feel the arms of love around you. Now, where are you when you feel surrounded by love? The Course calls this the point of safety. So where's the point of safety? The point of safety, you know you are safe when you feel nothing but love surrounding you. When you feel nothing but safety surrounding you, then you know you're in the arms of love. And when you are secure in love, when you feel safe in love, when you know it is love, you look quietly around you. See, I feel so loved right now. I feel so much love right now that I can look around me. The Course says you look around you. When you feel really loved, you look around you. When you're feeling real love, you look around you, and guess what? You recognize that the world is one with you. When I feel perfectly safe and I know I'm surrounded by love, I look around and I recognize that you are one with me. I look right at you and know that you are one with me. When I'm in love, I look at you and I know that you are one with me. And I don't have any fear. And I feel safe. So one more time, what happens? When you have perfect sanity, you don't look on anything but love, and you see it all around you, and you see it inside of you. Then you're feeling so good. Woo! You're feeling so good. What happens? That you deny the world of pain. You choose not to know the painful world. You choose not to know the guilty world, the fearful world, the lack world. I'm so safe. I feel so loved. How could I possibly think that I could be hurt? How could I possibly be hurt when I feel so much love around me? I feel so much love in me. And then you feel so safe, you call this the point of safety. I wish for all of you the point of safety. I want you to have and experience the point of safety. What's the point of safety? When you perceive the arms of love around you. Let the arms of love surround you. Feel my arms of love. Feel my arms of love around you right now. Let's put our arms of love around each other right now. Imagine that we have each other in each other's arms right now, the arms of love. And let's look quietly at each other. And let's recognize that the world is one with you. Let me recognize I'm one with you. Let me recognize I'm one with you. Let me recognize I'm one with you. Let me recognize we're one with each other. Wow. So this is what we're going to end on. I trust others who are one with me. I trust others who are one with me. I trust my equals who are one with me. I trust my equals who are one. The Course in Miracles says brothers. It's not talking about a male gender. One of the definitions the Course in Miracles gives for brothers is equals. You are my equal. I'm your equal. We each other's equals. And there's a lesson in the Course in Miracles that says this. I trust my equals who are one with me. I trust my equals who are one with me. I trust my equals who are one with me. So I want you to have God's will, mighty companions. Listen to this and watch this at least 4 times. Remember, it's in the repetition and remembering that you see the difference in your world. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because your thoughts determine what you see, and your thoughts make your perception of reality. So if you have these kind of thoughts, the thoughts that only love can come close to you, near you, that you want relationships, that there's no pain, that there's no suffering, that you are thinking that your mistakes should be exchanged for miracles and blessings, and your thoughts create your reality and your perception of your reality here. Can you imagine the kind of world you will gradually start to perceive if you remember just what we talked about today? Think about that. So, mighty companions, may the Course be with you. I love you. I love you. I love you, love you, love you. I love you. I love you. I love you, love you, love you. Love you.
It's settled then?
Unless something changes tomorrow. Either way, I think we'll be able to work out a reasonable timeline. She's a reasonable woman, as reasonable as any Christian.
Well, I pray you're right.
Oh, the Lord will provide. Wait and see. It'll be just like when we started. Really beginning.